There it is.
Hi, I'm Elise, and I'm here with Paul and John, and I have some questions about actually what's on the front cover of his book, John's book. And it says, a hermeneutic rationale for the inclusion of a soul concept in the genesis of human thought.
Wow, it does say that. It does say. So you have a question about that, or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
What does it mean? And well, maybe we should start with hermeneutics.
Oh, okay. Let's see if I can help you out with hermeneutics. Okay, hermeneutics is kind of a study of belief as opposed as it relates to action. Okay. Originally, it was designed as a measure of some kind of religious belief. Okay, but the thing is that religious belief kind of it's a fuzzy line. Okay, and I mean it's a really fuzzy line there as to what's religious belief and what's regular, old, common, everyday. This is real belief. Both of them can commingle quite a bit, and so what happened is in the late 70s and early 80s, and that length of time, maybe even as early as back in the 60s, people began to examine belief from a different perspective. And so they began to use hermeneutics to examine what people believed as opposed to what they said they believed or what they actually did. Okay, because this is the measurement of hermeneutics, is what hermeneutics is about. If you believe something, you will have corresponding actions that are related to, or let's just say it related to that belief you have. Most of the time, that belief supports the action, and the action supports the belief. And so what that does is that makes a circle. Okay, so we talk about the hermeneutic circle of belief and action. Okay, and so we have to have a belief, and usually what happens is that we have the belief before we have the action. In other words, the action is not independent. Okay, as a for instance, I can't really tell. If I'm if I'm an Anasazi, let me put it that way. Okay, I'm part of that Indian group that just up and disappeared because it didn't rain enough in northern Arizona and southern, well, in that Four Corners area. Okay, if I'm one of those Anasazis, and it's about 800-900 years ago, and there's no cars around. Hell, I don't even have a horse anymore. The horses all died, or I ate them, or whatever. But things are getting bad in my community, and so people coming in and killing people and eating them because they're hungry and that kind of stuff. So I want to know what the hell's happening to me here, and so I've got to check my beliefs. Okay, and how do I check my beliefs? I check my beliefs by doing things. And so if it's not raining, then I have to make sacrifices of some variety to whatever powers to control the rain. And in this particular case, I think we could say that the powers that control the rain are generally thought of as being some kind of a deity. And so I have to make the sacrifices to that deity. I got to pay the deity's due in order to get rain, because without the rain, I can't grow beans and corn and stuff, and I don't eat well. In fact, all the animals disappear, and it's kind of a dire situation.
So the belief in a deity is, at the time they were thinking that way,
yeah,
was something that they had to work with to get done what they needed to get done.
Well, here's the thing. Whether or not it's true or not, for those rather
I'm here. I have the sun in my eyes. I just needed to move.
That's good. I'm glad you're moving, because that's easier. Easier to look. You look more comfortable now.
That's okay. Much better. Thank you.
The thing is that they had to make that deity real, and in order to make that deity real, they had to act as though it was real.
Okay.
Now, let me give you something that's a lot more relatable than a deity and lack of rain. Okay. Do you believe that you did a good job with your kids?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you make that real with them still?
I'm not sure that I do now. You know,
Okay.
they're,
All right.
they're,
Just stop right there. It doesn't make any difference. I mean, this is not a judgment. This is something.
yeah, I'm just saying how I think about it. That's it.
That's right. Okay, so that belief in real has modified over the years. Once upon a time, you did everything for your kids.
Mhm.
I mean, everything. You bought them clothes. You bought them. You polished their shoes. You combed their hair. You wiped their noses. You changed their breeches when they were dirty. All of it.
Mhm.
You did all of that for them. Okay. Anymore, you don't really care if they have dirty breeches. Really, if they do, it's their problem, not yours.
No, I don't need to know about their bowel movements on a daily basis.
See? Okay, so that belief in real has been modified, and so there are actions that are, shall we say, correlations. In other words, the action correlates to the belief in real.
Mhm.
Okay. Once upon a time, you were married.
Mhm.
Okay, and in that marriage, there was a whole dynamic of stuff. Of what I have to do, what I may do, what I can't do, what I should do, what he's doing, what I wish he would do, what I wish he wouldn't do, all those kinds of things, right?
Mhm.
Okay, but you're not married anymore, right?
Right, so that's modified.
That's modified. So do you still have the relationship? Oh, of course you do. Well, how could you not have the relationship still? Does it mean the same things? Do you do the same things as what you once did? No, you
Oh,
don't
no,
really.
not at all.
You haven't given Bill head for quite a while, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Okay, that action is no longer appropriate to what you believe is real, in other words.
Mhm.
Okay, now, is that a gross way of explaining it? Absolutely. Would you understand it from there? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's an absolute that you just understand. That's it.
That's it. Okay, so that's what hermeneutics is about. Hermeneutics is saying, okay, if you believe something is real, then you act as though that thing is real. If you act as though something's real, that's because you believe it to be real. It doesn't make any difference whether it is or not. You believe it to be. That God that we were talking about with those Anasazi, that wasn't ever real.
But they believed it to be. And because they
So
believed it, they adapted to the environment that they believed the God controlled.
that's right. So let's bring that forward a little bit here. You know, if the Dems or the libs come up with it, I'm against it.
Okay, that's definitely a belief.
That's definitely a belief. And something you believe in is real that just simply doesn't exist. It's a stupid damn thing. I need to know that you're going to support Trump. Why in the fuck do you need to know that? Trump's a lying piece of shit that's lying about something that trying to change something that's actually real. What in the hell are you talking about?
Because there's already the agreed upon system in place for voting and counting the votes and that whole.
And so that the belief is that that's a safe thing we do, and so we all do it because we believe that's the action that's correct. Now we got somebody come along here and say, nope, that wasn't true. And there was a fraud there. Well, where's the fraud? Well, I can't put my hand on anyone, but it must be because I didn't win. Oops. What is it you believe is real? That there was a fraud, or that you didn't win, and that you always have to win because otherwise your daddy doesn't love you anymore? Really? Really? All this because Fred doesn't love you or didn't love you or treated you like you were an adult rather than a kid? I don't think you can be upset about that, dude. But come on, it's time to modify that just a teensy weensy little bit, huh? Put it down. You lost the fucking election. Yep, it's going to cost you humility. It's time for you to figure that out. Really, it is. Who cares?
So it's like the anti-vaxxers or the people who won't wear masks. It's all
It's what they
believe.
Okay, and here's the thing. You see, reality doesn't care what you believe.
Nope.
Okay, you can be as anti-vaxxer as you want to be. COVID will still kill you. It doesn't care what you believe is real. Okay, so that kind of about hermeneutics. Okay, so what? But that's not your question really about hermeneutics, right?
No,
Or is,
it's
okay,
no, I wanted, the hermeneutics piece is how belief is considered when you watch people's actions.
yes, that part's true. But it's how they consider it, not you.
Mhm.
Okay, it's what
Because,
I don't care. You can believe anything you want to. I don't really care.
mhm.
Okay,
John,
everything.
I think might be important to mention right here that these are observable, right? Like,
Right.
as somebody from the outside, when this was originally started, hermeneutics, they were examining past cultures, right? But we're
Yeah.
bringing it forward and we're using it in real time.
Well, actually, the religious missionary type of person was observing current reality.
Oh, okay.
And for instance, in a tribe, okay,
Right.
or in a yeah, in a society, okay. What in the world are you guys doing in this society?
Okay. I got you. The person going out there to convert other folks had to look at this and say, all right, what are these people believing? And the only mechanism I have to determine that is what are they treating as real, right? What are their actions?
Right, because you see, if you understand that, then you know how to communicate with them. The classic example is when the missionaries first started going into the Papua New Guinea hill tribes where they were still practicing cannibalism
They got 8.
and head hunting and that kind of thing, you know. Here come the missionaries saying, you know, Jesus died for your sins. That's the blood of the lamb right there. And they don't know what a lamb is, number one. They don't have sheep. So, you know, they don't know what lambs are. And number two, blood. Oh, so you want me to go get revenge for Jesus? Whose head do we take to get revenge for Jesus?
Right.
Something got lost in the hermeneutics.
Fatal error on that miscommunication.
Yeah. So you have to stop and rethink about how you should say it based on what they believe and what their actions are. And so you can kind of check to see if the action that you're observing and the belief that you're observing coincide. Okay.
Right.
All right. That's the reason why it's real important to missionaries. Otherwise, they're going to have shrunken heads themselves.
Right. Okay. So yeah, Elise, back to what you were saying. I think you were actually asking about the entire
Yeah, I
subtitle.
was taking it in pieces so that I could put it all together.
Okay.
So the rest is the hermeneutic rationale. Well, a rationale is how you think about it, I think.
Right.
For
Well,
the
in other words, rationale is how you defend what it is you're thinking, actually.
Your
okay.
explanation, right? Like this is what how I think this works.
Yeah. Well, and so people, so somebody's doing something and say, well, yeah, everybody I know believes this way. You know, everybody in my bar, you know, when I get drunk every Friday night or every night on at 4:37, when I start coming in for my first beer, everybody in my bar, they all believe the same way.
So that's a rationale right there.
Right.
Well, yes, I'm justifying my belief in real, aren't I?
You're saying it's because everybody else thinks the way I think.
Well, actually, it's because, as far as I'm concerned, that's what's actually real. Who disagrees with that being a reality? I don't know anybody disagrees with that.
Mhm. So you have to use the way they think to talk to them.
I'll be damned if that's not the case.
Otherwise, they're not going to hear you because it's going to be like you're talking a foreign language.
No, it's not. It's going to be like you're talking to a wall. Okay, you can talk and talk and talk, but because you don't understand how they're hearing it, you might as well be talking to a wall because you ain't going to be saying nothing to them.
So it's not, you're not moving over there to the way they think about it. You're staying in your own head.
Well, let's say that would be the cheap explanation, but yeah, that'll work for the moment. Okay, I would explain it for another 2 hours, but that one works. Sure.
I was trying to stay within a 20-minute format here. So.
That's not going to happen in this subject matter, kid, but okay, that's all right.
Well, I think this is a to be continued subject matter.
Maybe not. We'll let the editor people decide that part. Okay, but you and I are going to just go ahead and finish this off. Okay, so what is it you really want to know?
So why did you use the word? Well, I said the inclusion of a soul concept in the Genesis. why did you use Genesis? Because Genesis to me means right at the very beginning.
Well, because that's where thought begins. In other words, thought has a beginning. I mean, when you're born, you don't come and say, well, yes, I do believe that Einstein was correct about the majority of what he was trying to do. See, you don't do that, right? You don't even get when you get born, you don't sit down with mom and dad and say, okay, look, why are you two little fuckers arguing about this all the time? I'm here, you're influencing me. I wish you wouldn't do that. That doesn't happen, right? Because
Right.
we don't have that information yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to join, so there's a genesis of thought.
Okay, so that's how the thought grows.
But we haven't defined how that is quite yet, but you asked why we use the word genesis, because that thought has a beginning.
Okay, so we're not talking about having a genesis at this point in time that we never had before. We're talking about,
No. We're saying that was you born? You
Mhm.
was? Oh, that's cool. I know a lot of people that have been born, yeah, a lot of them actually. And I'll tell you, you know what? All of them came without any thought whatsoever. They all came out with no fucking experience. I swear to God, babies are just so useless because they have no experience at all. You can't hire them for anything. The only thing they can do is they can't do anything at all. They're worthless.
yeah, their job is just to learn.
They're exactly. But this is the problems here. See, not everything that they learn comes from you. In other words, there's a genesis of that thought to begin with that turns out to be their personality. Vanessa's been sending me pictures of Leah. Let me use that as an example, okay? She sent me a picture last night of Leah at like 11 o'clock. She's just been woken up. This is Leah having been woken up at 11 o'clock. Okay. She sent me one earlier in the day of Leah getting up first thing in the morning. Guess what Leah was doing? Laying on her back, just a happy little girl. Okay, now, this is part of her personality. She just enjoys herself. I mean, she's only about that big. She can't stand up or anything, a little bitty thing, but that's part of her personality. Okay, Luke, on the other hand, is a little bit older, but you can see his personality there is that he wants to understand everything. And he wants to see how it works, and he wants to see how it goes together. Let me see if I can move this chair over here and leave it there so I can get back up to get into this thing I want to get into up there at a more convenient time when mom's not watching. That's his personality. He wants to understand. So where the hell did that come from? He didn't learn it from his mom.
Is it from how they're thinking about things? Is that where it comes from?
Yeah, that's right. It's how they're thinking about things. But why are they thinking about things like with that how? See, that's the problem.
Mhm.
The genesis of that thought has to have an origin that is not accounted for in the experience. Because he doesn't have enough experience, he doesn't have any experience to say, I'm going to be this personality. He can express that personality and build on it and so forth, but to start from there, that comes from someplace. It didn't come from mom and dad, because they couldn't talk to him about it. And they couldn't show him, because what he does is not what they do. He does not have the same personality that those two people do.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you got to have a place to account for that genesis of human thought. And the soul concept is a really good way of being able to apply a start point. Doesn't make any difference whether you believe it or not. Doesn't make any difference whether you think it's true or not. What makes a difference is it's a damn good catalyst. If you take this human thought idea, this genesis of human thought coming from a soul or an other or a standing wave around in the electrical field around the body or whatever the hell you want to call it, I don't care. It's from outside of you, actually. It's a supra self meta program. a more than self metaprogram, which by definition would be a soul type of metaprogram, would it not?
So personality is really coming from the super self metaprogrammer then.
Well, I don't know that that's a true statement, but there is part of that personality that has an origin that is not, that can't be counted on by experience alone.
Right. It's not to say that the personality doesn't develop with experience from the lifetime, right? It does. It certainly does. But there's an originating core element that is lending these traits, these unique traits to somebody.
Okay. So, all right. So what are we saying here with this subtitle? We're saying, okay, you gotta have this platform that's outside of the body, no matter how you visualize it, doesn't make any difference. But really and truly, take advantage of this. If you want the chemical reaction to work right, then take advantage of the catalyst, because it ain't gonna work without the catalyst. Okay. So you got to have some kind of a thing here that will form a catalytic reaction within the thing that you want to accomplish. And what are you trying to do? You're trying to say, okay, I want to know how my thought begins, and where is that beginning thought still in my life now today? Because if it started, it's still there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So even the things that you're thinking today are originating
with that thing. And so has that thing also been modified over the course of the years without me paying attention to it even?
Oh, I'm sure.
Possibly.
Well, there's a possibility. Okay. So that's the reason why I wrote the book to begin with, was to say, okay, look, I can identify these 8 functions. Okay, I can identify these 8 functions that are not necessarily things that we do because we think it's a wise idea, nor because it's a moral idea. It's because it can be immoral the way that we use it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what are the things? What those things are is 8 different ways that the soul or the spirit or the other or the standing wave around your body expresses through your body. And I talked to Paul about this, I think, the other night when we talked about program theory. Look, I have a relationship with my computer. The computer does functions for me. The computer has a life of its own. Okay, it does whatever it does. It doesn't need me to live. It needs me to turn it on. It needs me to stroke it, to say, oh, you're a cute little computer, I like you. You know, you do exactly what I want you to do. That's the reason why I got you here, because you're such a cute little computer doing what I want you to do, because you can do these functions just great. You know, and what functions is that I can take selfies with the computer. That's the most important thing. And then not only that, can I take a selfie with it, I can put little reindeer ears on me. You know, I look stupid as hell with that kind of stuff, but kids like it because they like laughing at me. So that's what I do.
That's another example of, you have to use the computer's language to talk to the computer properly, which I noticed just before we got on when I was trying to get everything together to work.
Yeah,
I had to figure out how to
unless
talk
you
to
talk to the computer about your camera being on, really, it wasn't going to be on, right?
exactly.
Okay. So,
Until I could say it the way the computer understood it, I couldn't get it to work. So that's another example of that.
yes, it is. Okay, so here's the thing. Why is it really important to anybody, this whole idea of having this soul kind of concept as a platform outside of us to observe our thinking?
You have to be outside of it to look at it, to see it. If you're right in the middle of it, you can't see it.
Okay, here's the thing. You're of this age, so you shouldn't be real upset. You know, I spent quite a bit of time in a relatively large retirement community in Mexico, but the retirees were mostly gringos and Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you know, the thing is that because they're not in Pratt, Kansas anymore, you know, it's because they're looking for some red slippers of some variety to other, so they can click them and go home. You get to observe what they actually think with. And there's not much spirit in it. Sometimes there is, but mostly there's not.
Oh, we talked about this earlier, how observable this is, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Because what happened in their life is they said, I'm my body and I'm my mind. And people around them say, but what happened to your spirit? And they say, I don't believe in that shit. Well, that kind of makes for stunted growth, especially when you retire.
I can imagine.
Because what did you spend your life accomplishing? Body and mind. Well, I did all these things. I have all this money. I did all, and I'm important. Yeah, you are. Well, that's true. How's your grandchildren? Well, the little fuckers just bother me. They come to see me every now and then. I'm glad to see them. I'm even gladder when they leave. Great. What are you teaching them? Well, I don't teach them anything. I mean, that's not my business. I leave that up. Oh, yeah, fuck that.
That's their parents' job. Yeah.
Well, that's right, because that person has never actually understood that they are body, mind, and spirit. And so here they are in their ripe old age, kind of like you sometimes. And you say, oh, I don't have any reason to live. So I don't have any relationship with anybody. I don't have anything I got to say to anybody. I don't have anything I want to share with them, because I am a blank screen, and I'm only my mind and my body. What spirit? Now, you subscribe to that thought. I know that you do. Well, you do somewhat.
Well,
Is that not true?
yes, but that's got to have its effect on a person's body if that energy is not.
Well, let's forget about the effect on the person's body. Let's just think about the effect of the lack of effect on the world itself.
There's
So,
no turn on it.
no. We're going to stop here and we're going to look really. Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Okay. So, what kind of a spiritual message are you transmitting to Pat?
That is, cancer is something that he has to endure until it
What kills him?
addresses it.
Body and mind.
Mhm. Yeah, well,
Ooh, forget that spirit. I don't believe in that shit. Yeah, that's the problem. That's where the conflict actually exists. Because what's he have a problem with? He's got a problem with his lower intestine, right?
yeah. They're starting to do the
Yo,
scans.
elimination, right?
Elimination, yes.
Okay, let's just pause there for a second. Here it is, this elimination. What's he got eliminated? The concept that he's just his body and his mind, because if he holds on to that, he's a dead man walking, right?
Mhm.
He's going to have to change actually how he thinks about life itself. You know, there are lots of these anecdotal stories, and it's like you read enough anecdotal stories, you have to say, well, you know, let me look into it at least, okay? But there's lots of these anecdotal stories about people who were diagnosed with cancer and with this, and they had so much longer to live, and they moved to some place where life is different, and they get out and get around, and they live another 20 years.
Mhm. Because they changed the thinking process that supported it.
That's right, because they acknowledge the genesis of their thinking to begin with. Now you've always questioned about why I called it the other, right?
Mhm.
Because, you know, quite frankly, you know, I don't want people arguing with me that it's the soul. You know, and because the soul has all that religious connotation and garbage that's painted all over it and so forth. It's like that's not what I'm talking about. You know, I don't care whether you live after, if the soul lives after you die or not. I don't care whether the soul's going to go to hell or to heaven, or whether it goes through, it's got to go across the river.
River
Thames.
Thames.
Yeah, or whatever that is, okay? And, you know, I don't really care about any of that stuff. I just, you know, it may or may not be true. I'll cross that bridge or lack
You'll
of bridge
find out.
when I get to it, okay? It's like today, you know, I don't know what the day's gonna bring. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it today, because today's the day I'm doing that.
Mhm.
And it was certainly related to yesterday, and it was certainly related to the genesis of human thought way back in the day. That same thought is still here with me today, right now. And it has expressed in me throughout all of my life, whether I like it or not. So rather than argue with it, for me personally, I think it's better to say, yeah, let me embrace that. Let me see how I can express that thing, or how does that thing express through me? How can I, obviously it's part of who I am and so forth. So how can I amplify that thing so that I'm expressing that to the best of my ability? That's how I look at it.
And the best part is, John, right? Why not try it, right? And then see what happened.
And what turns out is this, is that when I use that thought as a catalyst for looking at things, in other words, if I look at my friend Elise and I say, okay, my friend Elise has got a sad face and she doesn't, and she's worried about her son Patrick with his cancer in his stomach, then what do I do about that? Do I just say, well, you know, yeah, well, it's not my business, so you go ahead and run on ahead and just deal with that whether you bury him then. You know, what the hell, you know, he's gonna die sooner or later, just go and bury him now. See, that doesn't really give any credit to life itself, does it? No, see, that's not fair to Pat, it's not fair to you, it's not fair to anybody, actually. So, but if I stop and say, you know what? Pat's part of the spiritual reality that I know, that I'm aware of. He's part of my life in that regard. Even though I don't know the guy, he's still part of my life.
Mhm.
Why? Because I know his mom. And I know his mom is really concerned about where he is and what he's doing, and how he feels right now. And so that affects what his mom does and for other things as well. It shades her perceptions, one's good or bad, right or wrong, doesn't make any difference, but it shades it.
Mhm.
Does she know where that is? I wish she did. I hope she does. And if she doesn't, maybe if I can talk to her about the spirit being there, the soul or the other, what I want to call it, being there and having an influence on her life, and it has had an influence on her life from the time that she was born, the time her babies were born. They're still having an influence on them. Is she teaching her babies about that, or is she denying it and running away and saying it doesn't exist? I mean, I don't think it matters any whether what you teach them about is Catholic or Muslim or Zen or Shinto or Southern Baptist or Methodist. Or I don't think it makes any damn difference. I think what makes a difference is that you talk with them about those things so that they know it's true, because you're their mother. And you're the one with that connection to them. That's what I think.
It's a part of the job of being a mom.
Well, you know, maybe I'm full of shit because I'm not a mom.
Well, a parent, we could say a parent.
Well, you could say a parent, but moms are different parents than dads are. That's for damn sure.
Mhm.
Dads don't necessarily have that spiritual connection with the kids. They're allowed to, but they don't necessarily have it. It's like the connection you have with Pat and the connection Bill has with Pat is very different. Yeah.
It is.
Okay. And that's as it should be, I guess. But the thing is, it should be because you're germinally related, or you relate to ideas from a germinal type of standpoint, and Bill relates to ideas from a formed type of standpoint.
Mhm.
That's fine. That's a good thing. You know, yeah, we can celebrate that difference. I can, at least. I don't have any trouble with that. But I want Bill to express that body, mind, and spirit, not because I want to convince him that I'm right and he's wrong, just because I think that if he does that, he's going to be more help to Pat than he just says body and mind. Body and mind, that's not good for Pat.
Yeah, it's incomplete, to say the least.
Well, it's just, let's just say the least and say it's incomplete.
Mhm,
We don't need to paint it any other colors. It's not complete yet.
mhm.
Which is fun. I mean, it's okay. I mean, we all get to complete things that we started, don't we? Mostly.
So to realize there is a piece missing and where to go find it.
That has value, yes.
Mhm.
Okay, which is the thing. Is this what I'm talking about here in this statement? That the book is a hermeneutic rationale for the exclusion of the soul concept from the genesis of human thought. Is that a true statement? Yeah, it is. Is it the true statement? Fuck no.
No,
Abs-
it's
Absolutely
only
not.
on the cover of the book.
Yeah, I got that. I was going to put it there actually, but here's the thing. Is it the truth? Yeah, it is. Is it all the truth? It can't be. It just isn't. It can be a catalyst for you to find the truth, though.
Mhm.
You know, I don't mind if you use it as a catalyst. You can use it. I don't mind if you use it for your dog to piss on. I don't really care. My point is that, look, here's some thoughts that make life easier to consider about things. They're catalytic types of thoughts. Use them if you dare to. Okay, and so that's kind of what I'm saying to you retiree peoples. Okay, use this stuff if you dare to. Dare you have purpose in your life at this time that's spiritual, or would you rather just continue to be cordwood sitting there waiting for your time to come around?
It's in the action, like Paul was saying. It's right in the action.
Okay, well, the action is either going to be cordwood or it's going to be chopping that stuff up and getting it where it needs to go, I guess. Huh?
Mhm.
I mean, the visuals of that kind of bad, so we don't want to do that part. Are you with?
I'm with.
Okay, that's good.
Hey, can we,
Well-
it's about half an hour, 20 minutes, something like that. Maybe we can continue this conversation at another point.
Well, probably so. But you're going to have to come up with the questions you want me to answer, I guess. Then.
Uh-huh. I enjoyed today. It was fun. It was good to do. And thank you, Paul, too.
Not a problem. I'm always here for these.
Glad you like.
These are actually fun things to do at least. Because
Oh yeah, but why do I like it? Because I get to learn different ways of talking about these ideas. Remember, the whole point of hermeneutic rationale is being able to see what somebody's treating as real, and therefore I understand what they believe, and if I can put that all together, I can communicate with them.
Right,
So
exactly.
I'm just, that's what I'm here to do.
Very cool.
it is actually. You know, believe it or not, that's what you're here to do too, probably.
Mhm.
So, all right, thank you very much. I think, are we done here? Oh, by the way, all of you who are listening, Lisa's telling me that she needs you to subscribe, which is pretty easy. There's a button someplace you can touch and you can subscribe, and to leave a like, because you know, say that you like us, please. I mean, even if you have questions about it, you can still lie and tell them that you like us. We won't mind. And then the other part is that you got what's the other thing you got to do is they got to ring the bell, because YouTube apparently doesn't believe that you really want to hear the new things unless you ask for the notices or something. So do that.
Oh, the notifications. That's what you're saying. All right.
Yeah, so but do all that stuff.
Subscribe, like, and notifications. That's the
Three.
Now here's the perfect example of what you're asking about. That is not part of the genesis of human thought for me. YouTube is just not part. Okay, I did not grow up with. I grew up with a fucking rotary telephone, so you know I
and a party line.
Right.
Been there, done that one. Yep.
See what I mean? Okay, so this is a different idea, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Cool. Till next time then, Elise.
Yes.
Hey, guys, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.